This is Tranisha Cottrell, and I am an author of first. Oh my goodness, we're gonna get this right. Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and I am an author of Learn from My Missteps. I am a business owner of First Love Yourself, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a public speaker and a life coach. So if you're new here, subscribe. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Now, I like to say at the beginning, get ready, go get a cozy blanket, go get a notepad, a pencil, whatever you need to get cozy, comfortable, and ready for today's message. So today, I wanted to talk about self care. This whole week has been about self care, but I want to talk about more why not self care really good. And I say that because sometimes when we think of self care, as you've seen this week in the previous two videos with the guests, sometimes when we think about self care, we think about spas. We think about spending a bunch of money to go on a luxurious trip. And yes, that can be great for self care as well, but that's not all self care is. Sometimes we forget that the main form of self care is taking care of self. And I truly believe that the only way that you could take care of yourself is if you are really setting standards in your life. And I know some people are going to be like, that's a huge jump for you to say not settling is a part of self care. But think about it this way: if you don't truly care about yourself, how are you going to get God's best for you? And you settling for anything less than God's best is you saying that you don't care about yourself. I know, huge jump, but we made it. But seriously, when I think about the things that I'm doing in my life, and sorry, it's a little, there we go. That's a little better. Now I'm not right there. But when I think about different things in life and I think about all of the things that God has for me, every time I think about settling, I think about how I truly don't love myself if I'm settling. I truly am not taking care of myself if I'm settling. If I'm trying to be with the first guy that comes along just because he shows me attention, that is not me caring about myself. That is not me loving myself. That is me just accepting the bare minimum. That's me saying that no, what God has for me is not good enough. That's me literally telling God that I know better than him. And I know that's not true. So when I think about setting standards and healthy boundaries, and I mean healthy, I don't mean you have a standard like you got to be this high to like go on a date or something. I don't know what people say now, but I don't mean anything like that. I mean when you want to be treated the right way and you're not going to settle for anything less than that. And one funny thing that I read in this book earlier today, I'm on to this new book now, and I might tell you, okay, I'll tell you the quote of it or the name of it. So it's called Sis Don't Settle by Faith Jenkins. And I know you probably heard that book before or you heard of it before, but listen, if you are a single person, if you were divorced, if you were in a relationship, if no matter what stage of life you're in, you need to read this book. Like, it's so good. And not only is it good for me being a single person, it makes me not feel alone. Like, sometimes when you're single, people just automatically assume, okay, what's wrong with you? Or they automatically assume, okay, when are you gonna get married? Okay, your standards are too high. And I don't want to say that everyone's standards is not too high, because some people have unrealistic standards. They really do. And that's just me being real. But my standards are me being treated the right way and getting the man who God handpicked for me, who is graced for me. That's my standards. I don't have a height requirement. I don't have I mean, of course, they have to have some sort of vision as well, but I feel like that's all a part of them truly being faithful to God. Like, you can't say you're a man of God and not have vision, because God literally gives you that vision, gives you that purpose for your life. And you might not have it all figured out because God is walking ahead of you, clearing a path for you, but you got to have some sort of direction. I'm not just following you anywhere. And so I don't have a list. It's literally who God graced for me. I truly believe that God already checked all the boxes for me. It's not like I got to go make this enormous, huge, gigantic list of unrealistic things that nobody is. Like only Jesus was like that. You know what I'm saying? And so like my big thing is I just want what God has for me and to be attracted to the person. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't need him to be like perfect because I'm not perfect. So I can't be with this perfect person while I'm messing up all the time or while I have missteps or mistakes or flaws or failures because I feel like every normal human being will fail or have a flaw or whatever else. They'll have their little quirks about them. And so I feel like that's not someone that I would want anyways. And so so I really am truly understanding and realistic with the fact that no one human being, person, friend, whoever it is that's a part of my life is ever going to be perfect. We are all going to have something that we're dealing with. We're all going to have something that we're struggling with, and I understand that. And so those are my things. Just the man that God has the grace for me and me to be attracted to him. That's it. That's it. I don't feel like I need to make a list because someone told me when I was first single, "Go girl, go make a list. You need to make a list so you know exactly what it is that you're looking for." I know what I'm not looking for, and that's good enough. Like I know the things that line up with the Bible, and it's funny I have to say this, but I feel like you have to be so like have every single step 1A, 1A, B, C, and D, in order to like explain it to other people. But when I say, the man that God has grace for me, some people will get smart and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, so you want a guy who is religious, or you want a guy who is, they say that they're Christian or whatever else." Yes, I would want them to be equally yoked with me, but God already knows that. And also, they'll make jokes and stuff about, "Oh yeah, then they're gonna be too into church and they're gonna want you to do this, this, and this." They don't know what the man is gonna ask for or what he's gonna be looking for in life. God knows that already. I'm not worried about all of that. I know God got me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not looking for him to like get mad and like actually throw a rock at me to stone me. Like I don't want him to be that biblical. But definitely, a person who has a relationship with God, and God knows that's super important to me because I want God to be number one in both of our lives. But like I said, I don't have a list. God knows my heart. God knows what it is that I actually need and not just the things that I want. I might want a guy who, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that people say all the time. That's 6 foot. And I'm not into that because I'm not that tall. And so if God blesses me with a 6 foot person, I'm not gonna be like, "You're too tall." I'm gonna like push away the 6 foot person because that's not my style. But also I don't have like you know, it's not height isn't really a thing that I care about like that. And I'm not saying I want to like have neck issues or something like that. And I'm not trying to get on people or anything. I'm just saying that I just I don't have a thing when it comes to that. Now, if I would say I would like for us to be like the same height or for them to be taller than me, okay, cool. But when I wear heels, I'm gonna be taller than the person, and that's fine. I don't care. I don't care that much about it. And so somebody watching this is like, "I'm five, such and such." I wonder if no, I'm just kidding. But no, but seriously, that's not a thing to me. I just want what God wants for me. I want it in the time that God wants to give it to me and not a second, minute, day sooner. Like, I know I got a lot of work to do. I say that, and people are like, "Okay, what is going on with you?" And that's another thing the book talked about how people will say, "Okay, what's wrong with you? Why is it that you're single? Because something has to be wrong with you in order for you to be single." No, just like the book, I literally refuse to settle for anything less than what God has for me. Any person, place, or thing in my life, unless God ordained it, unless God is like, "Okay, here you go." I don't want it. I don't want anything in my life if God's not attached to it. I don't want $1 million if God's not attached to it. I don't want the job if God's not attached to it. I don't want the house if God's not attached to it. I don't want the car if God's not attached to it. And I definitely don't want the man if God's not attached to it. I do not need that struggle in my life. I want I want to have like a ebb and flow. Like I just want it to be, and I know real life stuff happens. I'm aware of that, but I also don't want to just go looking for trouble. Like I'm not trying to just make my life more complicated for no reason. I want to have what God wants me to have in my life, nothing more, nothing less, you know. And so I just think it's so funny though how people will be like, I always tell this joke because this is like the funniest thing I've ever heard since I've been single for the last like 2.5 years or however long it's been now. I don't know. I was counting at like, I wasn't really counting at 2 years, but I knew it had been 2 years because it was something that happened that day that I always do around that time or something like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. But now I don't know. It's been over 2 years. That's the only thing I know. And I've been enjoying the season. And I just crack myself up. But the funniest thing that I've heard being single is when someone comes up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're single? And I always say, yeah. I mean, I didn't get diagnosed with anything. God, God forbid that from happening. But I'm just saying, like, they say it like something seriously wrong. And I'm like, I'm on the edge of that's my last day on earth. I'm like, calm down. It's all good. But it's just so funny whenever people do that. I'm just like, okay, all right. But it definitely makes me laugh. Like whenever something doesn't work out with a person or something like that, I just that's the thing that makes me laugh the most. So some people will be like, oh well, what about this person? It won't work out with this person, or that person is cool, but they're not the person who I know is supposed to be a part of my life for whatever reason. We're just not a good fit for whatever reason, right? And instead of me being like, oh no, it didn't work out with this person, I just think of somebody going, oh my gosh, you're single? And then afterwards they're gonna try to remedy the situation, talk about some, but you're so beautiful. Like, I don't know why you thought that was gonna negate your comment, but they really be coming for me. It's just so funny. But anyways, the best way to really show that you care about yourself. And I know people are saying, okay, self care and caring about yourself. But in order to do self care, you really do have to care about who you are. You really do have to make sure that you're not settling for less than God's best for you. You really do have healthy standards and boundaries. You really are saying, okay, I'm not just going to go be with somebody just because I need somebody to be a part of my life or because I want somebody to be a part of my life. I have everything that I need in my life. You making sure that just because you're single, you don't try to be in a relationship because you've been single for 2 years, is you showing that you truly care about yourself. That is you really having discipline. That's you really having self restraint. That's you really being willing to wait on God. I don't want anything if God's not in it. And I mean that from the bottom of my soul. Like, I've had things in the past with God not in it and it feels so empty. I literally have been in relationships feeling more lonely than I could while I was by myself. And I know some people didn't get that, but seriously. And I would just rather be alone all in one than ever to be lonely with a person. And I know some people don't get that. Some people don't understand how I could be okay being single. But it's not that I don't desire to be with a person. It's that I don't desire to be with any person. I desire to be with the person that God graced for me, not just anybody. Because I could be with anybody, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to settle for less than what God intends to be a part of my life. I don't want to settle for less than God's best for me. I don't want to just be with a person who seems okay and God's saying, listen, I got better for you. And I always have to break this down, but I don't mean one person is better than the other person. I mean, there are some people that are more grace for you than others. And we are all, on an equal playing field. But when God has a purpose for you and a purpose for your kingdom spouse, or maybe you're a person who's going to be like Apostle Paul by yourself and God said you're not going to be married, or whatever else, then it's important for you to really take that time and build your relationship with God. It's important for you to really understand that you have everything that you need in your life. I don't ever have to want for nothing, and I know that's improper English, and that's something that we say around here. Like when I was growing up, older people would always say that, like, oh, she's spoiled or she's got this and that. She wants for nothing. And so God gives you everything that you need. I literally can want for nothing with God. It's not, I do have moments where I feel like, oh, it would be nice to go to this place with this person. Or, I might have a moment where I think about something and then I think about all the work it's going to take. I think about all the work that I need to do on myself, that God's still working on me in different areas. And I don't mean like if God dropped a person into my life tomorrow, that person wouldn't help me heal in another area of my life. And also, when I say healing, I don't mean from the past relationship. I mean, sometimes it's childhood things that happen. Sometimes it's other stuff in my life that happen. And maybe I have this warped perception of how things are. And this person could show me that that's not reality. That was just one thing, incident. That was just one thing in my past. That is not everything. This person is truly going to love me the way God intended for me to be loved and treat me the way that God intended for me to be treated. I don't have to just settle for any man showing me any type of attention. I don't just have to settle for somebody who's not willing to be consistent. And also about the list thing. You can make a list about a person saying, "Oh yeah, I just need somebody who's consistent." And it sounds so good and people be hyping you up, hand clapping, everything, right? And they're all like, "Oh yeah, I need a man who's consistent too." Everybody be really willing to jump into it and just jump on the bandwagon, right? But I learned real quick at the beginning of my single season, I could get a man who's consistently inconsistent. I'm not making no list no more. Like I learned my lesson. God taught me a real valuable lesson about making sure that I just get what he has for me and not this long list of things that are not true. And I'm not saying that I don't have a hard pass list of things that are truly important to me because it shows true character. Like those are things that are hard passes. But I don't have a list of who the person is going to be because I feel like God got me. And also, I want to make sure that I can discern who's not for me by those hard passes. Like if I know that certain things in my life, like core values, someone's characters, or the quality of the individual is super important. I'm not just going to be with Joe Smo. I know that's a hard pass. If I know that I want to actually see that someone truly cares about me and they don't act like it, then they're not going to be the person for me. There's things that are just real hard passes because of health, because of different things that truly matter to my life. Like, I mean, it is something that is mandatory. It's not like oh yeah, that would be nice if this person walks with 2 steps instead of one. It's nothing silly like that. It's really their core values, the things that they truly believe in, like who the person is at their core. That's what really matters to me. Their character really matters to me. Someone with bad character is not the person for me. I don't care how nice they pretend like they are. They're not going to be the person for me. They're going to really have to be about it. And I know it sounds harsh, but I would rather have somebody I'd rather be with nobody and be alone with God than to be with somebody and feel lonely in the relationship or confused or losing my mind or feeling insecure because every time I try to make it work with someone who wasn't the right person, it literally made me feel more and more insecure every single day. Every day they showed me how unworthy I was. And I don't mean they said anything that was mean, but their actions didn't back up their words. And so it kind of starts as a woman making you feel like, well, maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I'm not doing that right. Maybe because of this, maybe because of that. And it's a long list of the adversary because God never said you were any of those things. God always said that you were more precious than rubies. God always said that you were a holy nation. God always said that you were more than a conqueror. God always said that you were more important than the sparrows. God always said that you were the head and not the tail. So when you start to hear things like that, when the person comes in and they're treating you unlike God would ever intend for you to be treated, know that that's not God. Know that you need to love yourself more than you like this person, more than you think you love this person. That's not love, that's lust. Your desire to be with this person because of the way that they look, or because they feed some sort of insecurity that you had from childhood, or because you're trauma bond, or because they just have this cat and mouse thing that makes you feel like you can't really get them. No, that's not the person for you. It shouldn't be a cat and mouse thing. It should be a God thing. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds super spiritual when I put it like that, but I really truly believe that any person that wants to be a part of your life is going to be a part of your life. I don't care if you had a parent walk out on your life and you just feel like everybody's going to leave you. Listen, change happens. That's life. But know that the person that God has for you is going to really treat you the way that you're supposed to be treated. And it's not just the me thing. Like, don't look at me and say, oh, well, you're wearing makeup and your hair is straightened, or, your skin is glowing. So, of course, you're going to be treated well. No, you are going to be treated well as well. It doesn't matter how I look or how any other person watching this video looks. You deserve so much better than what you're settling for. Stop settling for the breadcrumbs. Stop settling for men who don't know your worth. Stop settling for people who are inconsistently trying to have you on this like cycle of breadcrumbing. Stop settling for people who only want to give you a little bit to get a bite. And then the next thing you know, you're still hungry because you can't have the full 5-course meal. You need to stop settling for people who try to act like what you're asking for is absurd. Like, you being treated like Christ loved the church is absurd. You being treated like a lady, like a woman with decency and common decency and courtesy and self-respect is too much to ask. Stop settling for people who act like they deign to be in a relationship with you, like they're doing you a favor. Stop trying to settle to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to call you consistently or really get to know you, because it's too much to ask. Stop settling for people who don't truly see your worth, because you are worthy because God created you worthy. You might not deserve all of the blessings that God's giving you, but if he's giving you it, you better accept it. I'm just saying, I'm really tired of seeing women feel like, of course, this other woman is going to be treated great because she's so pretty. No, she's pretty because she decided not to settle. That's what makes her gorgeous. That's what makes her attractive. You would be more attractive too if your hair wasn't falling out because you're stressing out over this guy who's supposed to be somebody else's man. I promise you. The reason why my skin is glowing is because of God, because I refuse to settle. Whenever I settle in any area of my life, the first thing that happens is my hair either starts to dry out or starts to get brittle, or my skin starts to break out really bad. And sometimes that's just hormones. But most of the times, when my skin or my hair or my body goes wacky, it's because I settled in some area of my life. The reason why these women look like they're glowing, they look like they got it all together, it's not because they have it all together. It's because they refuse to settle. Men too. You see a lot of men who are a little insecure and their clothing is like wrinkled or something. That's how you can tell a man is truly settling in some area of his life. He's not pushing himself in his career, or he's not pushing himself when it comes to his religion. Like, he doesn't have a good relationship with God, or he doesn't care about himself or love himself, right? And I'm not saying you're in a car and you're driving and you got a wrinkle on the back of your shirt because you've been sitting in the car. I'm not talking about something like that. I'm talking about, like, the clothes look like they were sitting on the floor and you just threw them on and then you walked outside. I'm talking about that. And then, the hair is like disheveled and it's dry. And I don't mean like the sun could dry out your hair too, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you can kind of tell when someone truly cares and loves themselves and when somebody doesn't. And don't get it twisted, because there's some guys who have it all together all the time, who's got the perfect skin with the perfect hair, with the perfect car, with the perfect clothes, with whatever else, because they're trying to hide their insecurity. But you have to use discernment and figure out which one you got. You have to make sure that, for men and women, that you really are truly loving yourself, that you're working on yourself from the inside out. You're going to therapy. You're doing, soaks, or you are going to get a massage. You are doing walks so that you can clear your mind. You're going down to the water or to the beach. You are doing something that clears your mind. Journaling. Men journal too. And I don't know why we got to make it seem like self-care is only a woman thing. That's another thing. Another myth. let's dispel that myth, because men truly do need time to get their mind right, to focus so that they can keep on going in their purpose, so that they can make sure that they treat us better, treat themselves better first, because if they don't know how to love themselves, how are they supposed to love you? you know and so I think it's really important for us to truly understand what God's love is. That's the thing that helped me really start to love myself. When I saw how much God loves us, how he gave his only begotten son for us, somebody who had never laid eyes on me. I mean, he might have seen a vision of us, before we were created, but he didn't know us. He didn't know anything about me, and he still decided that I was worth him dying. He still decided that he was going to sacrifice himself for me. Can you imagine doing that for somebody that you don't even know? Like, that's just crazy. It's cool crazy. I don't mean crazy crazy. And so when I think about that type of love, that's the type of way that I want to love myself. I want to have that agape love for myself and for others that I care about. That's why, and even in the way I treat people, I don't just think, oh, this person's angry because blah. I think they're angry because they're probably going through something. If they don't know me, if I haven't done anything to them, then it's probably something that they're personally struggling with. And I try to help. I literally greet everybody with a smile. I'm nice to everyone. If someone, does something wrong to me, I turn the other cheek, but I stand up for myself. And I do it in the most loving, caring way. I don't just say, oh, you gotta, and use all this extra energy that I just don't want to get rid of because I got things to do. But I literally say, listen, I really don't appreciate you saying that. And whatever else. And then most people apologize. Some people say, oh, I'm really going through this. Okay, don't let it happen again. And usually we're good after that. But, something like, and I don't know why I had to talk like this, but, but yeah, I just think it's so important for all of us to love ourselves, to really, truly love ourselves use God's love as an example on how we should love ourselves and love others, so that we can truly start treating each other better, so that we can stop settling for less than God's best for us. Because I can't imagine some of the things that I settled for in the past, I can't imagine settling for it now. And I used to feel like it was my responsibility to prove to someone that I am who I am. Like, I used to feel like, oh, this guy doesn't like me. Oh, let me prove that I'm good enough. Let me prove that he should talk to me. Or I got to the point where I was first starting to love myself. I was like, I really love myself. Why wouldn't this guy love me or like me, right? And it's not your responsibility, your duty, or your job to try to teach or coerce or manipulate anybody into seeing who you are. It's your job to know who you are so that you don't settle for a man who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes we can feel like we put all of this responsibility on ourselves that's not part of our battle to fight. And then we overexhaust ourselves. We get depleted because we're fighting battles that weren't even ours in the first place. God never intended for you to fight for this guy who's not grace for you, or this woman that's not grace for you. God never intended for you to go after things that are not yours to have in the first place. Everything that's for you, can't nobody take it away. And I promise you don't have to do the most trying to prove that you are who God says you are. They will know, they will see your value. They will know that you're worth it. They will understand that you are more precious than rubies. That you won't have to just say, oh, I'm a jewel, I'm a gem, I'm a diamond. No, he's going to see you shining already. There's nothing that you have to do extra. You don't have to shorten nothing. You don't have to lower nothing. You don't have to be doing twists and turns and flips. Like, you don't have to do nothing but be you at all. And the gymnastics out there are going to be like, I flip all the time. Listen, we're not talking about your career. But seriously, you don't have to do all of that. You really don't. I know like the world can sometimes make us feel like we got to do the most to get these people's attention, to do all of this stuff. I literally put on some joggers and this tank top and had my hair in a pony. I didn't even like put my hair down and like do the whole thing. I literally just did a little bit of this and literally was comfortable and went to this place to get some stuff done today and got hit on. Like I did absolutely nothing. That's all you have to do. I'm so serious. Sometimes we be feeling like we gotta do the most to get someone's attention. I'm not worried about attention. I'm worried about being pleasing to God. I'm making sure that I'm getting prepared for my kingdom spouse. I don't have, I can't put that extra energy into something that's not grace for me, something that's not mine. I have to make sure that I stay focused on the things that God intends for me to do so that I can be the best person that I can be, so I can help more people. And I can't do that if I'm distracted by somebody who's not even supposed to be a part of my life, you know? So just know that you're good enough as you are. You being your best is good enough. You don't have to do the most, I promise you. Just be you at your best. Really, seriously. Men, seriously. If you might say, well, I'm this or I'm that. Listen, I met this young fella, right? Why I talk like an older person all the time? But I think it's just because I grew up around my grandparents and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm so old school. It don't make no sense. But I mean, I'm literally old school. Like I'm all about like all of those key things that people used to do back in the day to really be intentional in life. And I'm not talking about how young people are intentional today. That's great as well. I just mean that there's like this style that older people have that I think is missing in this generation. And I love this generation because I'm a part of it. But I just have like an old soul a little. I really do love the way that family, should I say family? I don't know. There's just things that I really like about it. And there's probably things that are not good. And pros and cons with everything. But anyways, I literally met this person, right? Nothing like that. And I don't know why I always feel like I gotta explain it, but I met this young person. And I say young, and we're probably about the same age, but I always say that. Anyways, and this person is so focused, so intentional. I mean, smart, would literally do anything for any person. Such a good, kind hearted soul. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think it's really important, regardless of, like, you could think that you're something and somebody really can see how special you really are. You don't have to be somebody else, just be you. It's my point. This person is themselves. They're not extra, they're not doing the most, they're not trying to get attention. They are literally just being helpful. They're literally just being intentional. They're literally just being who they were raised to be, and excellent character. I mean, excellent character. Seriously. And so sometimes you can feel like you just got to do the most, but you really just have to be you at your best, and that's good enough. Always remember that. So, in this video, I need you to put "I'm loving me" in the comments. That's how I'll know that you watched this video to the end, and also it'll help me know that I helped somebody and that they really did get something out of this message. So, I thank you so much for watching tonight. I really appreciate you being here, and definitely don't forget to give me a thumbs up so it helps with analytics. Also subscribe, and I will see you guys on Monday. And then also, if you don't want to wait till Monday, I do Sunday videos at 2 p.m. on YouTube. So I don't know if I'm going to be traveling on Sunday, I will have to see. I'm going to try to be back in time. If not, I will definitely do a post. I'll do a live or I'll do a pre-recorded video and post it at 2. So I will have something there. But I will see you guys. Have an amazing night. Amazing Friday night. What? We done made it to the weekend. I'm losing my voice and everything. Oh my gosh. But yes, thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys on the next go around. Good night. Oh my gosh.